Hi, I'm Gianluca Fiorelli and welcome back to the third session. Today, our guest is Spanish SEO, a very well-known SEO here in Spain, and she is known for her capacity to detect all the little things, all the details, and explain them, how to resolve issues, how to build a strategy, how to develop a technical analysis in a very friendly way so that everybody can understand it. This person is a frequent speaker here in conferences in Spain. She has collaborated with quite many tools. She is known for her friendliness in sharing her knowledge. She is the I don't know if it's correct translating in English because she says that she is the jefa de la tripulación of agency Laika, I suppose, but translated in more formal English, especially is the founder and CEO of Laika. And this person, this good friend of mine, is MJ Cachón. How are you doing?
Hi, Gianluca. How are you? I'm very fine, very happy to be here. So thank you for inviting me, and it's a pleasure.
Well, hey, pleasure is mine. And as I was saying also to other SEO, very skilled SEO are not used to participate in something like to a global audience, like actually is also the third session. I really like to propose these hidden gems from countries that are not always the classic US, UK, or other countries that I usually have as a more vocal and more famous in this sense SEO SEO exponent. So
Yeah, I guess that is because of English of the language. So in Spain, maybe not everybody is speaking English and travel abroad to share their experience or their knowledge. So maybe we are the hidden gems in the ACO field. But yeah, we have a lot of things to say. I suppose.
I'm sure, and this is, we are going to prove it with our episode today. So,
Okay.
MJ, how is SEO treating you lately? Which is a classic question I ask to all my guests.
It's a very special day today, and I'm glad you asked that, knowing that early this morning, AI mode has been launched to the Spanish market. And yeah, what a wonderful time to be alive. But I guess that yeah, people from USA or UK, maybe they think, yeah, we already know what do you feel. It's a moment with a lot of changes, and we have to face these changes, and yeah, it's very challenging to be in the ACO field. So we are here to go to make our effort.
Oh, sure, sure. All we are here. Finally, we are not obliged to use a VPN to explore how an AI mode works. And talking about AI and search, mostly the frenziness, all of the talks are especially exploded since when AI overview became standard features in Google. But anyway, probably we were the most savvy SEO. I'm sure whether you also can be counted in this group. We're already looking at AI search and how it was going to change how people search, and especially how our work, your work as an SEO, in your case also as an SEO in agency, was going to change. What are the biggest changes that you saw from client regarding search and SEO from the eruption of AI search and especially AI overview? And now here in Spain also the introduction of AI mode. And in your work in agency. Well, something changed, nothing changed, something, it was an evolution. What?
Yeah, I think this is not something new because yeah, we spent the last, I don't know, 15 years dealing with a lot of changes. But I must confess that this is a big one, and everybody is speaking or talking about AI. My mom too. And when a trend become so famous to your family is speaking about your work, you have to think carefully what is happening. So from my perspective, my own agency, the first thing that we are trying to do is to understand all the changes that are occurring, that are happening, and then try to inform to our clients and to be proactive, because sometimes when a big trend happens, maybe there is a lot of noise. And when there is noise, maybe the clients get nervous or want to do things that are not possible. And for example, as we speak, the last time that I saw you, the term ACO that now is changing, or there are people that want to rename the field. I
Mhm.
think this is a specific point that we have to be very clear with the clients. So in essence, the last months I try to speak with the clients to say what is something that we can really take care, like what actions we can conduct or what analysis we can make, and let everything that we can't, because they think, or someone tell them that they can maybe magically rank in ChatGPT without knowing nothing about ranking factors or which kind of prompts people are doing there. So it's like there is a lot of details that people don't know, and they, I don't know if you get me. The trend is bigger than them.
Yeah, yeah, yes. Let's say the confusion is big. I think that the most important thing is even now, even if somehow almost 1 year has passed already since I overview is easier. And yes, I think that even if 1 year already has passed, education still is the most important thing in both for us, SEO, because it's clear that there is a lot of misunderstandings. The same fact that some people, personally, it's my opinion, do things in rankings when it comes to ChatGPT conversation. There is not really real ranking in the literal terms. And especially also with clients, because clients are the person that tends to get confused, hear voices, opinions, and pretend, as you were saying, miracles. I'm curious, when you are telling to them that there are certain things we can work for making your website and your brand visible in AI search, and there are some things that we cannot do,
Mhm.
what are the things that you recommend them to do? And what are the things that you say, this is not really possible because it's not even so how it works?
For example, there are two key points. The first is AI overviews and how impacts in your project, in your website. In my clients' websites, I have projects that are e-commerce, so the impact is less than informative or content-based project. So most of my clients have no impact, or a very tiny impact. So there are a few that have a very big impact in traffic, but not in sales. So, in essence, this is a point that we have to take into account, because maybe we have to rethink or think again how we create the content strategy, because now the conversion funnel is different and Google is taking part of this funnel. So, this is one part of my clients. There is another point that we extract from Google Analytics all the data about organic traffic and the impact of referral traffic from ChatGPT, Cloud, Perplexity, whatever. And we discovered that in average, my clients only receive less than 100% of the traffic. If I think strategically, I can put a lot of effort in ChatGPT, for example, right now, because the impact in the business is minimal. So what we are doing is, okay, we are researching, we are analyzing, we are trying to find if there are quick wins or some opportunities. in ChatGPT or other platforms like, I don't know, YouTube, TikTok, whatever. But in essence, my traffic or my client's traffic is still from Google. So I can change the strategy because right now I have to maintain my core actions to attract the traffic from Google.
Yeah, that's why it's always important to, because we're starting to see some cases. I don't know if you in the wild, as you always scout and see what's happening in also to other websites. We are starting to see websites that really push in, for instance, re-optimizing their content in terms of chunking optimization
Mhm.
and based so and sudden very strong decrease in organic traffic from
Yeah.
classic search because they substantially destroyed all the signals that established content already had. So that's why it's very important to, okay, we must consider LLMs. And so our LLMs extract hidden bits of the content to create a synthetic answer, but without destroying the already existing visibility, which is especially for existing websites that are successful, because it's substantially a suicide. You were talking about the traffic your client's website are receiving from ChatGPT, Perplexity, and so on. And yes, we know that using the zero-click formula, that LLMs are even worse than Google search in this sense. So we know that Google is trying all it can to maintain people inside Google. So that's why the zero click, but ChatGPT or a conversational search is even worse because
Mhm.
we all know that every time that ChatGPT responds, it always suggests to do something else. The end. So people continue. So that's why traffic usually is not so big. But my, at least I want to share my concern with also there are included myself are saying, okay, if in classic search in LLMs traffic is shrinking, so it's diminishing. What is now the new value? New value. So everybody's talking about the importance of visibility, both in search results pages and LLM. So I was wondering, and I still haven't found a formula. I don't know if you are thinking about it. How maybe it's existing a correlation between visibility, let's say also in the search, but also in AI overview, in ChatGPT, in Perplexity, and an increased volume of, I don't know, branded searches, branded traffic, direct traffic.
Mhm.
Did you see something, some sort of correlation, or it's just me that I'm stubborn on this kind of thinking?
It's a good question. I think it depends the kind of project that we are speaking about because it's not the same to be the, I don't know, market leader or to have like a presence very solid or very strong, or to be a small player or the second. I don't care. So for me, this is the key, or this is the point that we have to think about because it's not going to affect you or to impact you the same way if you are the leader or not. Why? Because some queries or some searches are about try to decide which company I choose. And in this case, in the comparative searches, if you have a big brand, I think you have an advantage. So it matters the less if ChatGPT or the LLMs recommend you or not, because you have a huge market share already, right? So what's happened with other projects smaller? I think we need to think carefully what are the new metrics to focus on. The zero clicks thing is something that is a problem from a lot of years ago because it's not something new. It starts maybe with the zero position with the feature snippet. I think you remember the things that's happened at this moment that all the ACOs professionals were totally crazy because this feature snippet was stealing part of our traffic and we tried to find a way to appear in the in the zero position and these kind of things. But now is worse because now there is no click, and obviously it's a big issue. But I think we need more time because AI overviews and AI mode have to consolidate. We don't know yet what the users are going to use. I don't know if you can say, Gianluca, how many people use AI mode in, for example,
Mm,
in say, I
No,
don't
well,
know.
there are data that I remember that were shared also recently by Aleida Solis, our common friends, that for instance, in the UK, it had a quite interesting start in terms of percentage. It was something like a 3.5% of
Okay.
people using, and then it was diminishing as if, okay, after the first curiosity, people
Mhm.
started to forget about it. And similar is I think the percentage in the US. And let's be honest, all the things that Google is trying to do on the main search. So, for instance, I don't know if we are going to see also now in Spain, or if I use searching in Italian for Italy, and to see all this call to action to you in the main search surface. For instance, at the end of AI overview box, and we say Google trying to search and discover more or dig more about this in AI mode, or a recent sort of carousel suggesting type of searches to do
Mhm.
on AI mode in the main search surface, in the old search. And that maybe is meaning that not so many people are using it. Moreover, we don't even know if AI overview that we are experiencing now is going to be the same AI overview that we
Yeah,
are
but
going to experience in 6 months.
yeah,
And the same for AI mode. We don't know if AI mode is going to be introduced more and more inside search, classic search. And so, yes, it's really like being on, you know, in movie sounds like we are not on a stable ground. So
yeah,
I
yeah.
totally
For
agree with you.
example, with AI overview, part of my clients have less than 7% of impact in their queries. So it's something that I don't worry. So I don't care because they are focused in the transaction keywords. So there is no problem with that. What's happened with Medium, with, I don't know, New York Times, or in Spain we have El País, El Mundo, these kind of projects or websites have a very huge impact with AI overviews. So is because of the content, the informative search intent, that is the part that AI overviews are killing. So the question is, the AI overviews or even the AI mode are going to be launched for a more diverse keywords intent, for example, transactional, local, whatever. I don't know.
Mhm.
I suppose Google have more data than us, but it's like always. Today they announced the AI mode in Spain, and in the blog post they say that AI overviews give a lot of clicks to the websites. That is not something that is true because we know that more or less 30 or 40% of the traffic is gone, and we always have the Kevin work that is awesome, and he conducted a very good study about UX, studying the AI overviews and the behavior of the people reading the results. And most of the people don't click, and most of the people only read the first paragraphs. So this is situation right now. But my question is going to expand AI overviews and AI mode to the full spectrum of queries, of intents,
Mhm.
or is only for the informative layer? I don't know. But for me, it's key, this point.
Yes. And also, I mean, I think that we will know it only when Google will be able to understand how to put advertisement in AI search, in a mode, AI overview, and so on. Before you were talking about, okay, visibility on LLMs, for instance, on ChatGPT, but it can be also in a model or AI overview. It's really impactful has an impact if you are a brand that is recognized. And so you will obviously pop up better and stronger, even if you are in-house or within in company with other brands. And also branding, and SEO for brand also has been quite a big topic in the past 12 months, especially in the beginning of a year. How do you think, or what do you recommend? How do you think SEO can help amplifying the value, the perception of a brand without obviously fighting and going against the brand marketer that are in the companies or in, especially in the companies, even if you are in-house or in agency. So what are these things that you usually think that, okay, SEO can help branding and amplification of a brand doing these things? What work with you?
Trying to look to the big picture, I think we need to improve the way we think about the content strategy. And I think SEO can help totally for brand recognition and for brand growth. For example, one of the area that I think is going to be stronger is the PR, like the distribution and the press releases and everything about how communications and we can spread the content that we produce. So I think the two key areas that are going to be growing with all this AI era. So I think the efforts that I can recommend to do is focusing, make better contents, not only contents to rank. So there are a lot of studies that we can conduct. Every time we make a keyword research, we can extract a lot of ideas to conduct studies or maybe interviews with well-known people around your field. And I think we have to think about how to connect these ideas with the PR part.
Yeah, yes, digital PR surely is going to have a new impulse, not that it wasn't important even before, but now it's even more important because it doesn't have just, okay, the links still are playing big role, but now also the mail.
Mhm.
So you don't have the limit of a link. So you can create campaigns that are really, really impactful. And I think also that maybe us as SEO, we can help also in what you were saying, and I want to underline it. Whenever we are doing keyword research or whenever we are doing simply analyzing Search Console, so for the queries for which a brand is visible, or when we are doing a competitive keyword gap analysis, for instance, we can individuate all those things that people are really searching about our products, our services, the things we offer, the kind of information we provide, etc., etc., etc. So it was important even before, but before it was more considered, okay, we have to rank because so with high volume. So now it's more diffuse, especially if we are going to, let's say, for instance, if we talk about, let's say, an e-commerce, even if we are a manufacturer, let's
Mhm.
B2B, or we are a software as a service, so our services. So creating content around our product instead of maybe creating content which is try to target the extremely top of the funnel, so the big blue ocean is maybe the best way to create content which is branded and make your brand more relevant because it's helpful, can build trust, and all these kind of things. And now you are known here in Spain because you do at every, essentially at every core update, something like this, or you have two big topics that you really monitor constantly. One is your long project about migration. For you watching us and listening to us, MJ is for many years now already. She asked for what's happening in migration. She go and see how migration are working and from there presenting insights. This is one big topic. And the other one is every time there is a core update, for instance, you do your own analysis, as for instance, Leader does for the US and others do for their own countries. We always say that The core update is like a Pandora box. It includes everything. It's a general update of the algorithm. But what kind of constant things you saw in all this year analyzing the effect of a core update?
It's a good question. I usually analyze the core updates in a weekly basis using six trees, and I extract data for more or less 1,200 websites that I always analyze the same for the Spanish market. And I have learned some things. For example, if one site began to drop in the core update, maybe when the core update finish is growing. So it's not something about how you start, not how do you finish. So the launch usually more or less long, 2 weeks, more or less. Sometimes it lasts 3 or 4 weeks, but it depends. But usually it's not how you start. So this is the first learning. And the second learning, I can share that every time that I conduct this analysis, there are a few websites that are migrating. So I always thought, how bad luck for these websites that choose the worst date to make the migration. And the third learning that I can share is about the people that is impacted. There are not a lot of people. There are not a lot of websites. So in essence, I finally analyze, I don't know, maybe 10 or 15, and I have to go deep because every update is a new mix of things. I think this is the summary of this learning is try to choose carefully when you make a migration and don't trust the first week of the update. So be quiet and be patient and wait until the core update is finished. And obviously there is always a mix of things, and I never seen a drop only for one reason.
Yeah, it's a combination of, and this is why it's always difficult to understand the reason why a website dropped or even increased.
Yeah.
Because we always talk about why a website increased, was it negatively, but sometimes we see website that didn't do anything.
Yeah, in
And
Spain,
all of a
the
sudden, thanks to a core update, they
yeah,
jump in visibility like crazy. You were saying?
yeah, the last core update in Spain, I saw different receipts websites that increase a lot because they make crucial changes. Because I can check with Webpack Machine, they truly understood what things they need to change, and they did. Sorry, so
No, yes. But I think that this is also a very specific case because Googlers, for instance, I remember John Mueller hinting not so subtly to receive website owners with all these long storytelling
yeah,
before arriving really to the receipt was just fluff. The more this content was present, the less was going to be priced by Google. So this is probably the biggest change that has been done because there is one constant that I saw is, okay, Google always, one of the reasons why website is improving or decreasing during and after, especially the core update, is because Google, for two reasons. One, maybe Google recalculate not really the value of a website, but the search intent that a query set is targeting. So maybe a query set that before was just informational, all of a sudden after a core update become commercial.
yeah,
And secondly, it calculates the more passionate in our field who dug inside all the trial document against Google, start finding all these little signals that Google maybe is using for evaluating the quality of a website. It's there. I mean, it calculates the value of these tons, hundreds of signal, and maybe this is going to make a website that it was considered okay, fine, now good quality. And I think that the good quality at the end of the day is always being able for a single page, and not just all the website, to demonstrate really able to present what is the beneficial purpose of a page and to satisfy it immediately. That the beneficial purpose of a page is the one answering correctly to the search intent for which this page has been presented. But okay, talking about migration, what are the same mistakes that every time are appearing? Because there is a lot of literature about how to do a correct migration, but why so many websites still fails in doing a migration?
Yeah, I was thinking in this question, I think, all my life, because I still watching how a lot of websites fall into the same mistakes, and sometimes I can believe because there is a lot of people sharing their checklists, their advices and methodologies, and yeah, I can even believe how websites are still failing in this kind of mistakes. I'm curious because this week we launched a migration with a client and we have to postpone more than 3 times because of the redirects were not in the good place and not working in the staging website. So yeah, we have to speak with the CEO and say, I'm sorry, I know that you want to launch the new website, but it's not possible because without redirects, you are going to lose everything that we are working for the last years. You are going to lose in 1 second. So yeah, I don't believe how in 2025 there are websites that don't put efforts and don't be very conscious with the importance of the redirects and the improvements that you have to put into the new website because it's not something about redirects only. You need to put an improvement in the change because in every migrations, Google is going to come back to your website to analyze your website to put an exam to your website. And
Yes.
if you want to pass the exam, you need to show and to demonstrate that you have improved the website. And it's easy. It's easier. I don't know what do you think, Gianluca, but
Yeah,
for me,
yes, this is something that we know, but even it happens also on a micro level. Whenever, for instance, when that's why sometimes it's so hard to say, okay, we have this page which is working really well, but we need to update it because there are new things. Just thinking about updating, for instance, a guide, or for instance, updating a successful blog post or a successful landing page. It's always a little like a thriller. You don't know whenever you're going to click on the push on the publish button that you know that Google is going to reevaluate the page, especially if you are doing also small migration, not huge migration. Small migration can be, okay, this section is this type of service are being reformulated by the company. And so we have to reflect these changes in the architecture of the website. So you have to do an internal migration, very small one without changing so much. So every time you change a URL for Google, the content, even if it didn't change, is new. And so it is going to evaluate. So yes, it's a very tricky moment. And when it comes to, okay, migration, but also all the technical SEO part of the work, we always need to deal with the developers. And there
Mhm.
is also in this case a lot of literature about how to deal with the developers. You are a strong technical SEO. So this is surely is going to help you in this relation. But with the year, with experience, what are the things that you understood are the correct one to in order to really work well with the developer without all the stress that sometimes people and SEO says and discuss and tell about this sometimes conflicting relationship.
Yeah, from my experience, I think we need someone from the client side to be with us and to fight with us. And this is the person who, at the end, is going to decide. So this person need to have knowledge about the development part, the ACO part, and obviously the product and business part. So for me, it's more important this management part. So obviously, I have technical knowledge. I can speak with the developers with no problem. And the big challenge here is to try to help them to understand why we need the things that we need. For example, canonical things, meta robots, the content, I don't know, the international,
JavaScript.
the JavaScript. There are a lot of things. And sometimes because we have a roadmap, and if the roadmap is not respected, we are always in a hurry. We need the work for yesterday, not for tomorrow. So when this happens, the developers usually tend to try to save work, and obviously the ACO tax sometimes bother them. So we need to try to be very friendly with them. But obviously the last decision is in the client. And sometimes I find as well that in the client there is no one with this knowledge and with this skill to manage all these people. And sometimes from my agency, we offer this profile, this project management to try to solve these kind of situations. And yeah, usually works fine, but it's not the best solution because all the knowledge that we create in the migration project, I want to remain in the client. So for me, it's not the best scenario. I want to find a profile in the client that can manage the full relationship between all the teams. So
Yeah,
I don't know
yes, and
if I am answering, if I am answering your question,
no,
but
no, you're answering well, and somehow it's similar. Even if I'm not an agency, I'm a consultant. Sometimes one thing that I always put very clear to my clients when I do consulting is maybe it's even easier for a consultant to say so, is one of the things for which you are paying me is apart all the things related to work, immediate work, and the long-term work, the strategy, the tactics, the optimization and all, is because I want to be your tutor. I want to teach you what
Mhm.
really is important for you in terms of SEO, so that ideally you can even create your own team, SEO team inside, or increase or improve your SEO team inside your company. And eventually in the future, not even needing me as a consultant. This is for me one of the most interesting things that I try to do, because this is a way to, when I say something like this, maybe in the future I'm going to lose the client because they say, okay, finally we have our own SEO team. We think that an ongoing collaboration is not needed anymore. We're okay, fine. But anyway, it's also a matter of pride because I mean, that means that SEO has been embedded inside the client mentality. And talking about, I want to return a little bit on the use of AI, but more in how you use AI for your work. I
Mhm.
know another things that you are known for is you are a strong educator in how to use, for instance, a crawler like Screaming Frog.
Mhm.
And Screaming Frog for a few months now also has features and like embedding analysis and so on. So apart the use of AI in this sense, thanks to Screaming Frog, how are you using or other people in your agency are using AI for work?
It's a good question. Before to deep into the yeah actions or uses cases, I want to say that yeah, I was studying machine learning, statics, another language program before pandemics. So I was dealing with some kind of AI before the ChatGPT boom or the ChatGPT trend. No, so I want to say one thing that maybe is not very popular, but a lot of tasks that we try to do with ChatGPT or other LLMs, we can do it without AI. It's not a problem. We can do it. Sometimes we only need some lines of Python or JavaScript or other languages. So I think that is an important thing to put here, that is not always we need an AI or generative AI to make things for us. So you are questioning me about AI. So usually I incorporate the AI to build internal tools. For example, to connect with APIs and make some processes more automatically. But these processes are those that in which people is not important. So I'm an enemy of the AI if you want to replace people, because we can replace some tasks and some processes that are, something that people is going to get bored if they have to accomplish this kind of task. Okay, maybe we can automate. So I'm right with that. But the experience of a person, of a consultant, right now is impossible to replicate with an AI, from my perspective. So maybe there are people that can say, okay, MFOTA, but you can put all your experience in a, I don't know, custom ChatGPT, custom GPT, and then this personalized GPT can answer the same as you can answer. But I not agree. I
No,
not
no,
agree.
I totally, I don't agree. I also don't agree to a full delegation to AI for SEO. I like to use AI for collecting data, for instance, but also falls in what you were saying before. If you knew Python and machine learning, you could do it with Python and machine learning without needing to use a ChatGPT or Claude.
Mhm.
What generative AI made easier is for people, especially people like me, who are not really into the technical side. I want to call it the vibe coding stuff because I think vibe coding is very fast in the beginning and then it's the same amount of hours you want to save are going to be lost because you have to correct and recorrect, verify and verify whatever you built. But yes, especially connecting data from many sources and then asking certain kind of insights to AI in the reading of big data. That is something that where I find something the value of AI, but not in the interpretation of that. Like let's say that we have using BigQuery all the Search Console data, and then with Gemini we can ask to tell me what are the things that don't fit in this huge amount of data? What are the discordancy? What are the, let's say, the group of queries that are really falling from period to period? Something like this. But then why they are falling is not something that an
Yeah.
AI or a custom GPT can should be delegated to do.
Yeah. For me is literally try to be very conscious about what every model can help you with,
Yes.
but always making like separation between people and I don't know, monkey task.
Yes.
Like things that, yeah, I can't add value at this kind of task. So okay, this task a machine can do this kind of task, but the rest of the task I need a person who have intuition, who have, I don't know, empathy, who speak with people and can, understand nuances that are directly in the communication, in the words. And the words, obviously, all the LLMs models can understand perfectly because they are language models. But if I go deep to your question, I can maybe mention three use cases. For example,
Mhm.
with Gemini, is very good with classification. So if you give Gemini a list of keywords, for example, and a list of categories, it's very accurate to make the classification. So it's a very specific task that maybe you can try. And for example, with Claude, I try to always use Claude to programming. For example, with JavaScript or R, Python, whatever. So it's very accurate with the programming. So I mean that, for example, any mistakes. with Python, I obtain more mistakes when I ask for help to program than with Claude. Then I discovered Lovable. That is, I suppose that you already know
Hmm.
Lovable, and yeah, and it's very useful to build like a landing page or a tiny website, and it's very quickly. Today I built a few websites for a very specific content, like a study, very direct, and a podcast that I have about the statistics,
Hmm.
and I built the website very quickly because it's only one page. So maybe in half an hour we have the website done. So
Oh,
uh,
great.
yeah,
And just last question about work. You have quite many years of experience, but there is one because we always try to talk about our success, but sometimes we learn more from our failure. What is the thing that your fail that taught you the biggest teachings, the one from which you learn the most?
yeah. Some years ago, I blocked a user agent
Uh-huh.
for mistake because this user agent was responsible of the paid part, like Google Ads, but it's not Google Ads. It's I don't remember if it was Google Merchant, but in the documentation was not very clear that this user agent was for merchant URLs. So finally, we block because we detect in the log files that there are a lot of crawl budget that it was wasted with these kind of URLs and with this user agent. And we finally discover that the user agent from desktop was responsible of Google Merchant too. So we block incorrectly. And yeah, we spent a few days losing part of the revenues from merchant.
Cool. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Imagine.
Yeah,
So,
was a
well,
mistake because maybe the correct way would be make a quickly test and then comment the line. So we
yes,
sent
yes.
recommendation and we spend 2 days until we discovered that was wrong. So we need to be very careful when we block something in robots.txt or when we add
Yes, and everything about robotics is becoming returning a lot in the past month because blocking AI agents, AI bots, and all this stuff. But if you block
yeah,
the AI bots, maybe you're blocking also, for instance, Google and so a lot of
yeah,
and all the Cloudflare policy about blocking AI bots by default when maybe should be an opt-in and not an opt-out
yeah.
function of Cloudflare and so on.
For me, the big learning here is not only to check the documentation that obviously we already check, but usually the documentation is not always complete. And for example, in the Spanish language, is not very well translated. So
Oh,
it's not
it's
excuse,
the same in
but
Italian. It's the same in Italian.
we
Yeah.
need to learn from this.
Yes, I know, I know. Well, that's why I always try to go directly to the original English version. And well,
Yeah,
1 hour of conversation. Stop
yeah.
talking about work.
Even as
Le-
1 hour.
Yeah, yeah. Let's just a couple of very fast questions about you. So also our
Okay.
listeners, our people can know you better. So what MJ likes to do when finally he close switch off the PC and hopefully doesn't think about SEO? What do you like to do?
Yeah, I'm a sports lover. So I usually practice basketball and I am a very huge fan of Atletico Madrid, the football team. So yeah, I usually go to the stadium and yeah, it's very funny. And obviously, I like to read a lot. I read a lot.
What did you read lately that you like a lot?
I read books about I don't know something that is related to business to companies. Yeah, a mix of things actually.
And another question, last question. What is your favorite food? If you have to choose one, what will you eat right now?
Wow, it's difficult. I think it's the most difficult question today.
Over there.
Because in Spain, I don't know if your audience knows that we have very, very tasty food in Spain and a full variety of recipes. And yeah, but it's difficult to choose only one. But maybe I choose omelette, the Spanish omelette, because
Oh,
it's,
la tortilla.
yeah, tortilla
But with onions or without
without.
onions?
I'm team without onion.
Okay. And with this important declaration, we conclude this episode. Thank you, MJ. It was a real pleasure to have you as here at research session.
Thank you so much for having me, Gianluca. It's a pleasure.
And yes, now remember, click on the bell and so to be notified for the new episode and subscribe to the channel. And if you like this episode and if you like any of the episode, share it. I will appreciate it. Thank you.